but like from World War II, I think. And it was like I liked that one.
Where it was
I
like
can't
Werewolf Women
remember.
of the SS by Rob Zombie. That's pretty
I
good.
maybe not quite like that,
Okay.
but similar.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, creeps of all ages, welcome to another star-studded episode of the Scary Movie Project. I am your host, Matt, and I want to invite everyone today to listen to 5 grisly tales from a kid's comic book about a murdered father rising from his grave, a bizarre meteor, a vengeful husband, a mysterious crate's occupant, and a plague of cockroaches. If you didn't already guess what I was talking about, it's 1982's Creepshow. We all love Creepshow, right? It's great, right? But I thought, I know someone who really loves Creepshow. And so I invited my friend Marie, who you all, of course, remember from our found footage episode, obviously. Marie from the Not a Strong Start podcast. But Marie, you have so many outlets. So I'll just intro you and please tell everybody what you're doing out there in the wonderful horror world that you, and video game world that you talk about, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm part of the Not a Strong Start podcast, and I have my own show called Marie Plays It All
Mm-hmm.
on their channel. And I talk about movies and video games and all that stuff, nerdy stuff, some just YouTube trendy stuff. Just delve right in. I've been guests on a few other podcasts that have been great. It's been so fun, and I love talking about horror,
Mm.
especially. So I'm so excited to be here because this movie is very important to me. Very, very.
So I want to get to that, but I want to make 2 points. Previous episodes,
Mm.
our dear friends Halloween Lives podcast, Blaine and Austin Duncan, right? And of course, mentioned Marie was the I don't know what the word is for this, MC of a hot wing eating contest with them about a year ago. That was amazing. We mentioned
Oh
that
yeah.
before. That was good times. Lots of fun there. And also, a quick side note from our previous episode that we did. We had
Mm.
mentioned I was going to give you grief about not playing Resident Evil 2, but which system do you have? You have a PlayStation?
I
You
have a
know?
PlayStation 3.
Okay. So I think my brother-in-law was telling me I think it's like backwards compatible. So if you like put like a disc from like PS or PS2 in there, you can play it. I think so. If you ever want to play
Ooh.
it, I'm just saying. I
Okay,
think.
I yeah,
I don't know.
I mostly game on my Xbox. I'm an
Okay.
Xbox person. I
All
would
right.
love to game on everything. I'd love to have all the consoles, but I don't that
Right.
I stopped at PlayStation 3 and now I've been an Xbox girl ever since. So if it comes out on that, if it is out on that, I don't even know.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Everything's
Well,
like a download now, right? Like it's all. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, exactly.
Clearly, I
Exactly.
haven't played video games in a very long time, but that's okay. So anyway, moving on though. So yeah, Creepshow is, I think you said, a personal favorite, a very, very near and dear to your heart for a few reasons, or at least one reason.
Oh yeah. I got my Creepshow blanket
Oh
on
my
me right now too.
goodness,
I
this is
yeah.
amazing.
Uh I love it, and the reason why I love it is so important to me is I wasn't exposed to a lot of horror when I was a kid. I grew up
Mm.
Roman Catholic. My mom was very sheltering-ish with me with the movies. So
Your
I would
mom
go and
wasn't
sleep.
Carrie's
Yeah,
mom though, right? Wasn't Carrie's mom, right? Where yeah. They're all gonna laugh at you, right?
yeah. They're all gonna laugh. Yeah, not quite, but
Okay,
close.
that's good.
Um, no, just kidding, mom. If she watches this, not at all close like that. But she just didn't want me to watch anything scary. She's like, "Don't watch
That's
Predator." I always wanted to watch
understandable.
Predator. She wouldn't let me. But
Understandable.
my I go to my auntie and uncle's house.
Ah, see.
It's always the uncles that introduce their kids to the
See,
horror.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble with that soon enough, but I'm just gonna leave it alone, so I'm not gonna touch it.
Soon. It's in your destiny to do,
Yeah, it
okay?
is. It is. It's only a matter of time.
So my uncle is a huge Stephen King fan. He had all the Stephen King like movie VHSs,
Oh wow,
books, everything and
that's awesome.
everything. So when I go there, I'd watch them, and I remember from my memory, the first horror movie I ever watched was Creepshow.
Really? Okay.
And it is what introduced me to horror, and it is what made me fall in love with horror and gore and
Mm.
synthy neon colors and the
Yeah.
synth music. Like it just made me fall in love and like comedic horror. And I, ever since then, that was it for me. So it was my gateway horror. So I
Okay.
owe it
Yeah, that's
everything.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, and that's really cool because I want to say mine was like one of the Friday the Third part 2 or part 3 was the first one I ever saw. I can't
Hmm.
remember exactly, but it's kind of fun to be able to think and like remember that, right? So all right, that's great. So you'll love obviously talking about. All right, anyway. So horror anthology, horror comedy. I mean, there's laughs to it, obviously, kind of stuff, right? George Romero. We all love George Romero, of course. Stephen King. So there's like what, 4 stories. 2 of them are short King stories that I've read before. That I don't know how much Stephen King you read, but have you ever read the ones Weeds and the what's the other one? The Crate.
Great. Yeah.
So have you?
I haven't read
them before? Okay. All right.
No,
okay.
I haven't. Unfortunately.
So I'd read them before. I don't remember the first time I saw. I probably saw the movie before I read his stuff, honestly, but I have read them. So your like it's an ensemble cast, right? Hal Holbrook, Adrienne Barbeau, who we love from The Fog, of course, right? Obviously. Who else is in this? Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun.
Leslie Nielsen.
Yes.
Oh my God, being such a jerk, and that you're so used to seeing
But
him
you
comedic,
can't take him seriously, right? No.
I don't know.
I
He's pretty.
I don't know.
He's pretty creepy. He's a bad man.
And I believe he is Canadian. Is that correct? Isn't Leslie Nielsen a proud Canadian? Yep. There you go. He is. I guess
Ted
he's
Danson?
Scary. Ted Danson's in it. Yeah. You got a great cast. So, okay. How we start this film, of course, we start with one of our favorites, Tom Atkins, right from Halloween 3, as like a mean and nasty dad, like for real. This dude is not cool, right? So his kid's reading all 80s, 82. It's so 80s. Punishing his kid, essentially telling him, if you read this crap again, I'm going to whoop your ass. And I mean, he's like, and of course the mom is just kind of like just hanging out. She just has like nothing to say. She's totally just like a wet blanket almost. And this poor kid, he wants to read this comic, and his dad is like going to kill him almost. And it's just like rough. And then I guess like all the cartoon stuff. Oh, and it's cool because I guess it must be Halloween time, because isn't there a pumpkin in the window like in the first couple scenes?
I think so, yeah. And from what I can remember, if I'm correct about this, and I think I am, it's Stephen King's son playing the son.
Oh, really? Owen or whatever, one of his sons. Yeah. I did not know that. Okay, that's very cool. I can see that.
He legit slaps. Well, I don't know if he actually slaps him. Obviously not. But like that dad is so mean. Like Tom Atkins so mean. Slaps him. I saw him in this before Halloween 3, and I saw Leslie Nielsen in this before anything else. So when I saw him do comedic stuff, I was like, wait, you're a mean man. What are you doing?
Yeah. He still does shows. He's like 80, late 80s now. I think he's still doing his thing though. I guess he's still. Is it? I thought he passed away. Leslie Nielsen. No. Tom Atkins.
Okay. Yes, Tom Atkins.
No, Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, he is.
Passed away
he's
for
gone
quite
for a long time.
I think.
Yeah.
Not Tom Atkins still around. So yeah, that was kind of like, that was kind of scary in its own right. All right, so first episode is Father's Day, right? And it's what these super like hoity-toity upper rich folks sitting around their house celebrating Father's Day from a father who's not around anymore, with a mother who drinks too much and smokes like a chimney, and they're talking about. So I love this one because the daughter brings home her husband, and who's her husband? Ed Harris.
Yeah,
and Ed Harris is probably like
with the moves.
Yes, he's probably
hand movement.
I'm not even sure he's 50 years old. And you think of Ed Harris, I think of The Rock. Like when I think of Ed Harris, is like the crazy general who wants to blow everybody up, but he's probably not even 50. And yeah, he's got like the jeans with like the cowboy belt buckle and.
Oh gosh, it's funny.
And so they're all at the house and they're talking about all this stuff that happened. How the sister will come soon enough, so they'll have dinner. And the sister ends up going to the cemetery to visit the father, and she's like drinking like straight out of like the bottle of Jim Beam, I guess, and she spills it. And does she explain essentially like what happened, or I forget how that works, but
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she does. She's like, you called me a bitch. So you kind of know like their whole like backstory, how he kind of was like abusive to her, and then her acting's good there. Bedelia, her acting is super good, because
they were
stares at the
taking care of him while he was he was ill before he passed away, obviously, and he was not pleasant to be around, which is something that happens. And always asking, he wanted his cake or his birthday cake or something like that, right?
So Miss Kane.
Yeah, So he's passed on. She's in the cemetery, and he comes back to life, and he crawls up out of the grave, and he's dead and gross and disgusting, and I want my cake, and he's asking for his cake again. And he kills her, And then people start wondering what's happening. Where is everybody? And I guess the daughter goes out looking, and no, Ed Harris' character goes out, and he gets caught in the cemetery. And the cemetery, the top of the headstone falls on him and kills him. Then his wife,
the splat noise, a good splat noise.
yes, yeah, right on him. You weren't sure what was going to happen. Was the thing going to fall on him, or was the dude going to get him? Like, you didn't really know, right? And then I guess is the wife his wife that comes out and tries to just twists her neck, or is that the mother? How does that once everybody's back in the house, right?
Is it the mother that gets her neck twist because it's her head on the cake, and then it's the sister and brother who end up finding the cake.
That's right. Because then they have the maid, I guess, right? Yeah. He comes back and he kills her, and the mother walks back in and she sees it, and he just twists her head and just till he snaps her neck. And it's just like the whole time, it's like this family is so awful. Like, these people are terrible. But before, and they find at the end, though, he comes in and you see the brother and sister come in and they open the kitchen door, and he's coming in and he has the cake with the mom's head on it. And I want my cake. I want my cake. And it's just funny because, this family is so, they're the worst, right? They clearly don't care anything about each other whatsoever. This whole thing was done for like some insurance money or whatever. They hate each other. The mother is awful. And are you really sad these people died at the end of that skit? No, not really. You're really not.
No. Maybe Bedelia, maybe Aunt Bedelia, because she was just like, but she is the one who murdered her dad with the ashtray, which is in every single installment, which is in every single thing.
That's
good.
The
thing I think I love this, the Father's Day is probably my second favorite out of in the installment out of the 5. And I love the music so much. I love the red lighting. I love when they show like the flashbacks. It's like the comic book style. I love. Father's Day is my second fave.
Really awesome. You're right on with that. That theme of those bright light, the reds and the blues play into this whole film, and we'll talk about. Yeah, that really is really, really, really cool. I really love that a lot too. That is really awesome. Yeah, This anytime you visit like a home or a manor that has like a cemetery adjacent to, I have concerns about that. I'm not sure how I feel about visiting a home like that. I don't really want to.
Major concerns as well. I wouldn't like to look out my bedroom window and see that. I could not. Actually, that'd be pretty cool. Now I'd like it. But
welcome to my home. Everyone in my family is buried here, right next door. Yeah. Nothing could possibly happen bad around here. Don't worry.
Yeah, and be careful. The headstones aren't really attached great, so don't go in, the cemetery late at night because you never know when a headstone's gonna fall.
Yeah, it might fall on you for revenge. So, all right, so there's your first one. So then we have the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill. I guess it's pronounced Jordy Verrill, right? Yeah. So this is what I just love. One of the lines I wrote down here of how it's basically presented is Jordy Verrill, a comedic and dim-witted backwoods yokel.
Yokel, yeah, nice. Got to bring that word back, yokel.
He's like Cletus the slack-jawed yokel from Simpsons, right? So, Stephen King, what an actor, right? I mean, honestly, he plays him pretty well. Plays this guy Jordy Verrill, who kind of is this backwoods yokel. So the story Weeds, the original story he wrote, is it happens in New Hampshire on 4th of July, United States, and that's the meteor crashes then, right? So not that it really makes a difference to the story, but I'll just throw it in there. And a meteor crashes, and he watches it from his house, and he goes over and he does, what most people would do. A meteor just crashed. Why don't I touch it? What could possibly go wrong with that idea? Like, so have you seen The Blob? I hope you've seen The Blob, right? The 1988, the new one, the remake, I should say.
I don't think I actually ever seen it.
Man,
I know.
The Blob is so good. Anyway, same kind of situation. Let's poke things from another planet that we shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Right? So he starts getting all crazy about how, I bring it up to the college and they'll pay me some money for it and I'll do all this stuff, and he touches it and it's too hot. And he breaks it in half and he's angry at himself because he broke it in half and now I won't get any money for it and what am I going to do? And he walks back to his shack, right? And he wants, try to start watching TV or whatever. And a little bit later, he's sitting there and he looks down at his fingers, and his fingers are starting to grow like moss on him. And okay, this is kind of weird. And then you kind of see an outside shot of his place, and everything's kind of green, and it's kind of like green behind me. And
Yeah.
the grass is like starting to grow everywhere, and you're like, what is going on here? And it doesn't take long. So for me, this is also like one of the famous, besides like the monster in the crate, but one of like the most famous pictures like from Creepshow is like this shot of like the Moss Man, he basically, right? For me.
Mm-hmm.
So all this stuff starts happening to him, and grass starts growing everywhere, and it gets worse on his body, and it starts growing on his face. And he tries to solve his problem with a giant bottle of vodka, and he makes like the world's biggest screwdriver, I think, essentially, doesesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He just pours the whole bottle into like a pitcher of orange juice.
It usually helps.
This will solve my problem. That didn't help him out at all, and it just gets worse and worse. And he thinks about calling the doctor, but then he's afraid he's gonna get a shot or something. He doesn't want to do it, and so eventually the whole house just becomes overtaken by it. And he tries to make a bath, right, I guess, and he tries to do that. And is it his dad or somebody, he thinks he sees someone in the mirror, like, yelling at him or something, right?
His dad, yeah.
Yeah.
His dad.
Like, you're a damn fool, don't do this, or something like that. But Stephen King plays it really well, and he takes the bath, and that obviously doesn't work. Because then the next morning comes, I guess, or is it later that night? I don't remember. And it shows the house. And that reminds me, that scene, doesn't that remind you of Pet Sematary, after Gage comes back, kind of? Remember Judd's house?
I haven't watched it in so long, Pet Sematary.
It kind of reminds me of the very end, when Gage comes back, and Judd's house is all out of control and looking crazy.
Okay.
Not overrun, because it's different, because the house is totally overrun with weeds and grass and whatever, the meteor plants, obviously, but I got that vibe. And dude is gone. He's just like a giant, like, moss man at this point, basically, right? And he does kind of the only thing you could probably do at that point. And he grabs the shotgun and he pulls the trigger, and they show it because it's not his head blowing up. It's like this giant, like, piece of green. It's just like,
it's just like a mossy bush.
And it's kind of sad. And at the end, it's like totally Stephen King, though, because then it starts showing the sign with the directions to different places, like Castle Rock and Portland and all the places that are in his stories. So that was, and it shows the vines are starting to grow and they're taking over everywhere. The ending that was the best part for me. That was really cool. Because in the original story, that stuff's not in there. And the ending, that was really, I love that. Stephen King plays the part pretty well. It's no Academy Award, you don't need anyone playing that to do that. But he does a good job with it. It's a quick little fun little piece. And the special effects stuff is like really good, right? It's really good.
Really good. Well, Creepshow is like the trifecta, like a holy trinity of horror gods, and it's Stephen King, George Romero, and Tom Savini.
Tom Savini,
and it's just
yes, doing the makeup.
It's like
I know,
a triforce of the horror royalty, and the special effects are so good in that one too. Even down from the little warts on his fingers at first, and he starts licking them, and then that's how it spreads.
So gross.
But you're right, Stephen King is so good in it.
Yeah.
I think he's amazing. No one else could have played it. He was perfect.
Yeah.
His look is perfect. Everything is perfect. But watching, that was the last one in Creepshow was my least favorite. But I kind of didn't like this one when I was a kid because I liked the more like horror gore stuff, creepy monsters. But as an adult, it's one of my favorites because you actually realize like how sad it is, and like his desperation to, like, he needs money, he's poor, and like he doesn't want to go to a doctor because then they're gonna take his, he still thinks it's his meteor is worth something even though it's cracked.
What do you think, $200 he thought it was worth or something? He's
like 200 bucks, and like he thinks that they're gonna take it away, he's not gonna get the money, so he's suffering this whole time, not seeking help because he wants the money for it. And then he gets this back talk from his dad that's like constantly haunting him about how he's a loser and he's worthless.
It's awful.
And it's just at the end, he has to end it. And his voice at the end, he's like, please.
Right.
Please. And I'm like, oh, it's sad. Like, I'm like, it affects you
terrible.
so much harder when you're an adult. I was like, oh man. And then others on the radio, when it shows it spreading to everywhere, it's like, it's going to be bright, sunny skies and lots of rain. Good for farmers.
Yeah,
and I'm
good
like,
for green. Yeah, good for plants. Exactly. He did really good. I mean, it's kind of like like a metaphor, like looking at like a disease, and I mean, essentially, right? It's the same kind of thing, right? So.
Yep, you betcha. I know.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right, so something to tide you over. is our third story. So you know what? I'm going to let you jump in. I'm going to let you go on synopsis on this one. You're gonna lead us through with our friend Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun, who is hard to
Well,
take seriously,
first,
but does a good job, like you said.
he's hard to take seriously, and apparently behind the scenes he had a fart machine on him, and when they were like doing rehearsal he would like do these fake fart things before they rehearse,
I
and
love
everyone
it.
had to try to keep
I
like
love it.
just I think that's awesome.
That's
So
amazing.
Leslie Nielsen's a rich, very, very rich man,
Yes, he is.
and we learned that he has found out that his wife is having an affair with one of his employees. It sounds like Ted Danson works for him, right?
Yeah, employees, air quotes on that one. Yeah, whatever it is
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, so he wants to punish him by, well, he says, I've done something to my wife. He shows him a video, and it's a video of his wife, Leslie Nielsen's wife, buried up to in sand up to her neck, and there's a tide coming in. And then Ted Danson's like, "You bastard!" He's like, "Show me where she is." So Ted Danson thinks that Leslie Nielsen's bringing him to the wife, but he's actually forcing him to get into his own burial in the sand and saying like, "Oh, if you want to see her
And he
again, you have to
drives
do
him
it."
down to this like beach that he owns,
Yeah.
like miles of like beach property, right? And he's
Oh, he's
like,
a rich dude.
you can yell all you want, no one can hear you because no one lives out here. I own all of this. Yeah.
Oh, he's such a cocky, sarcastic
Ah,
jerk in this movie. He's so
evil
good at
dude,
it
right?
too. And yeah, so it's basically just him tormenting his wife and his wife's lover. You don't really see him
Pretty
doing anything to
much.
the wife, just on the screen. It's kind of found footagey, which I kind of like. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and nice
yeah,
old, VHS with the old CRT television and the cameras and everything. That was really cool.
yeah. So Ted Danson kind of has faith that he's going to get out. He thinks he's going to get out of it, but the tide keeps coming in closer and closer, and
Yeah, you're done.
then things happen, and then things start to haunt Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, sure does.
And I
I
wonder sometimes, is that real or is that like in his mind?
Yeah, I never really thought about that. That's a good question.
I look at Creepshow pretty deep now when I'm older. I'm like, what is this a metaphor? Is
You
this
got to break
actually
it
happening?
down.
Is this psychological? Yeah,
Yeah,
I gotta break it down.
you got to break it down. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good. I never really thought about that, but that's a good point to think about. Is it real or not? I suppose. And then
And I notice,
what does he tell him? I can hold my breath a really, really long time. Or something.
yeah, because so I guess it has to be kind of real because his wife and Ted Danson and his wife come back as like these kind of like sea creature humanoid things,
Yeah, I
and they
like it.
take
Yeah, there you
him and
go.
they bury him. Yeah, and they bury him, and uh the whole thing is like you gotta hold your breath, Harry. And then so he says at the end, I can
Yeah,
hold my breath for a long time.
yeah, long, long time.
But there's that one scene with Ted Danson with his head underwater,
Yeah, yeah. Isn't
and
that cool?
I'm like,
He's
yeah.
totally underwater, right? Yeah, that was great. Wasn't that a
But
great shot?
for real, is he not? Like he seems like he's buried under, like he's underwater for real. The way he's holding his breath and
You know
everything
what? I don't know. That's a great question.
seems cool. I mean,
That's a Tom Savini question you have to ask him next time you meet him
I'm,
at a con somewhere. Yeah, that's a good question.
yeah, sounds meany.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that because I'm a claustrophobic person, and
Mm.
I feel that if I was buried in the sand like that, I mean that would terrify any human being. I don't care who you are, but
Oh, yeah.
I feel like stuck, like you can't not move, and like you're just yeah. And I'm not a huge fan of the ocean either. So wow, if somebody ever wants to really torture me, that's a pretty good way to get rid of me. Just so you're listening, but
People are taking notes. Your
um,
arch nemesis.
yeah, this is how we get rid of that guy. Yeah, that would be a terrible way to go. And it's like, yeah, why don't you enjoy the video while the TV lasts, and as soon as the water hits it, it kills the
Oh,
television.
it's horrifying. It's
So
really horrifying too. And like Ted Danson has the realization that he's not going to get out, and he has the realization that the tide's coming in, and he has this look of fear, and he's just like, "Oh my God." And then
yeah,
he just, and he's trying to force it, and he just knows, I'm not getting out of here. Oh, that is so terrifying to me. It's like when
yeah,
you know you're
yeah,
gonna, like, that's it. There's
yeah.
nothing you do. Oh, oh.
Because
It's
I mean,
actually really scary.
anyone knows the feeling of jumping in an ocean and the wave and it hits you in the water. Like it's unpleasant, it's salty, it's gross, and to not be able to have hands to like wipe your face off with, like, oh man, we're in trouble, right? So yeah, not so good. How
Mm.
eight how 80s is his house, that compound he has on the
Oh my
beach?
God. It is so, and there's like a big Buddha and stuff in it, and that there's that wall of TVs
Isn't
behind
it
the
great?
thing,
I know.
and you know what I noticed too?
It's great.
When I watch it when I'm older, I watch Creepshow probably like, I don't know how many times a year, probably like 40, 50
I
times a
love
year.
it.
I watch it a lot.
Love it.
But I noticed he has a ton of VHSs lined up behind him, Leslie Nielsen,
Doesn't he
with
talk
like
about
homemade
and
VHSs.
you know what? And I'm guessing they're probably all kinds of like torture videos, I bet, right? Of people he killed, right?
That's what
Yes.
I'm thinking. I
They
hope
have
it
or
is.
porno or both. It has to be like a mix of both. And doesn't he say like the damn maid messed up my movie collection or something like that?
Yes, he does. They call attention to it, which makes
Yeah.
me think like it's got to be something
Oh,
bad.
it's like some nasty like faces of death stuff that you would never want to actually watch it probably. Oh man, yeah, that's not the way you want to go. And yeah, when they come back as like the sea creatures, they're pretty scary. I
Yeah,
would not want them messing with me. I'd be very afraid of them.
yeah. Same.
All
That's
right,
my third favorite one.
so tell us about the one that is everyone's, I guess most people's favorite. I don't know, but the one that is like the most popular, I guess, and of
Like,
course, obviously on your shirt. So what's up with the episode "The Crate," which is the Stephen King short story, which is also called "The Crate." But anyway, go ahead. I'll let you tell us all about it.
oh my goodness.
The
I feel
Crate.
like I'm so bad at telling stories. It's these
It's okay.
university professors, right?
Yes, it
These
is.
university professors.
Hal
And
Holbrook and some other jerk. I don't know. His name.
yeah, and one of the professors is married to what is her name? The actress?
Adrienne Barbeau.
Adrienne. Her name's Wilma
And
yeah,
she
her.
is insufferable in this role. She is the worst.
He is so
By the end of this,
so good.
by the end of this, everybody wants to kill her, not just the character. Yeah, pretty much.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So she's insufferable, and the husband thinks she's insufferable. He keeps having these like mental flashes of
Oh my
her
god, just like strangling her with like a necktie and this.
shooting her, just like all these terrible things.
Yes, I
So you
love
know he
it.
doesn't, yeah. And then the other professor, he is like apparently having affairs with his students and everything like that. Not very uncommon.
Yeah.
And
Stand up guys.
real stand-up academic men.
Higher learning, people. This is what you're paying your kids to
Yeah.
go to. Yes, yes.
This is what it gets you. And
Yeah.
so during this time, you're seeing them at a party. There's a janitor at the university, and he drops his coin. It's my favorite line of the whole movie. Can I swear on this?
Yes.
When he drops it, I remember being a kid, and he's like, "Oh, fuck a diddle," and I'm like, "That is the sweetest little way to say a swear." Fuck a diddle.
It was his last quarter for the Coke machine, he said, right?
Yeah, oh, his last
Yeah.
quarter for the cold machine.
Yeah.
And so he stumbles upon the crate under some stairs, and
Sure
then he
does.
takes the crate out and he wants to open the crate. And he does open the crate, and then he's like, "Oh, there's something in this crate." Well, no, he didn't open it yet, but it shifts, and then he calls. I think you need to do it. I'm going to girl splain it, so I think you
It's okay.
can take
Do
it
it.
from
Do
there.
it.
No, you,
All right. All right.
hey,
You want me to
yes, please, thank
continue
you.
this? All right. We'll, we'll,
Yes,
we'll, we'll
continue
hand
it.
we'll hand these off, right? So he gets the crate, and it says Arctic Expedition from like 1934, right? So now I'm just going to sidebar this and go totally off topic, and also mention The Thing Expanded with my friend Robin Block, who's the creator of The Thing Expanded, which you're going to want to watch. Totally off track here, sorry, but so let's do the connection here. Creepshow 1982, The
Mhm.
Thing 1982, right? Interesting Arctic expedition crates, boxes, things. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Anyway,
Ooh,
I know. Moving on. Sorry, moving on. But get ready for
I
The
love
Thing
it.
Expanded. You're gonna want to watch that. And if you haven't watched the episode I
Okay.
did with him, please do it. Anyway,
Okay.
so the crate. They look up. What is this? They, the janitor, Mike, whatever his name is. Hey Doc, let's take a look in here. The two of them. They get the crowbars. They open it up, and it starts to make noise, just like an animal, like something, like making noise inside of it. Now, look, I know it's a
Yeah.
scary movie. I get it. Seriously, if you opened up some box and there was noise inside of it, you could. I'd be like the Bugs Bunny, characters like runs through the wall, like the outline of the wall is there. Like I'd be gone so fast you wouldn't even know. But anyway,
Yeah.
he of course looks inside of it and he sees the monster there, the dude, and all he sees is the eyes, and that thing rips him and just pulls him in and rips his throat and arm and eventually pulls him in and sucks him into the crate and he's gone. professor's like lunch out. He's like kirking out at this point, as anyone would. And he finds some other student or teacher. Oh my God, this happened, and blah 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 blah. And he doesn't believe him, and he runs off. And okay, so he's killed the one person. And at this point, then we're going back to. Have we gone back now to Hal Holbrook's character with his wife again, or because there is somebody else? Who else gets killed by the monster first? Oh, now I don't remember. Well, what happens is
the guy with the glasses. No, wait, no. He leaves and then goes to the guy and says there's something in the crate, and I saw him eat the janitor.
Oh, then
right?
Then that's right. Then the guy he does come back with him, and then he tries to mess around with it, and he's like, "Oh, there's nothing there," and it gets him, and it ends up killing him too in there, right? So they're both dead. Then Holbrook's character is talking to his wife. He hates, of course. And he brings her, and he doesn't listen to, or the professor shows up at his house, and he's going nuts. He drugs him essentially to calm him down, and he tells him all this stuff that happened, and he's like, no, it's crazy. He goes back and shows up at the university, sees all the blood, cleans it up, writes this note to his wife saying all this stuff. He lures his wife in. This guy's crazy. He's basically setting this monster to kill his wife, essentially.
Yes.
Or exactly. And she comes in, and she's like, I don't believe a word you say. And he starts attacking her underneath the stairwell and yelling like the monster, come on, come get her, come get her. And then she's like, what the hell is wrong with you? What are you doing? The monster doesn't come out, and you're like, oh, this is not going well for this guy. This is not going to turn out well. And then the monster does come up, and it grabs her and rips her in there and eats her. And so he's killed 3 people. And then he drives it off, and he's talking about his story, and he gets in a forklift. Well, it's this time of year. No one was around, so no one saw me doing this and moving anything, and which it seems impossible to me, but whatever. Yeah. I don't care what time of year it is. And he goes to a quarry and dumps a crate in the quarry while it's locked, and comes back and tells the guy that it's all done. Don't worry about it. We need to play chess more often. And
that's it. He got rid of his wife, and that's fine.
Oh man,
it's so good. And the acting is actually so good in Creepshow, which I find so rare in like anthology movies, but I find in all of them the acting is great. And Fluffy, like the creature,
Fluffy,
he is kind of terrifying, like he's kind of like baboonish, but like the most horrific mutated
he's like a monkey.
Baboon.
Yeah,
and he's actually scary, and
he's very
just
scary.
Like the wounds and the bloods, and that I don't know why it's everyone's favorite. That's my favorite because it's one that I think is the scariest one.
You know what's really good? It's the story. It does a great job of adapting the story he wrote originally. It's very good.
Oh, good.
They're
that makes me happy.
They're really right on. They're really, really good, I think. Yeah, because the description of the first death, grabbing his arm and pulling him in, and then the way it brings him in, and how could you fit the body in there? But like it all it's really good. It's really good.
It's the best. The music too is so good.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the use of the lights again. We'll get to that again. But when what's her face sees everything with the red lights and that was cool. And so they shot that Romero. So this is a Pittsburgh thing, obviously. I think they shot this like at Carnegie Mellon, like at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, I believe. I think because he does all his stuff in the Pittsburgh area. That's like that was his big thing, right? So that's kind of cool. That's a cool tie-in. And Tom Savini, of course, is the makeup master, obviously, and did all this. Yeah, and this is the most famous one, I think, right? This is the most famous of the Creepshow stories, pretty much, right? So,
great.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one. All right, so now, what about you? You want to talk about bugs and cockroaches in our final piece? They're creeping up on you. If you don't like bugs, you're not gonna like this one. That you want to tell us about bugs? You want me to do it?
Okay, well, you know what? This is the one that I skipped when I was a kid. I would turn it off after Crate, and I don't think it was because of the bugs. I think it was just because I didn't find it as scary because I didn't realize the commentary in it and how it's like the rich guy again and how he thinks that everybody working under him are essentially like insects and then like worthless and like you're just like bugs to be crushed and sucking the life out of me and everything. And I didn't get the commentary, and it's very sterile looking and all about colors and stuff, and he's racist. And I just didn't get this when I was a kid, and it's very white.
That makes sense.
So you can describe it then, because you've seen it more than me, or you describe it and we'll talk about it.
You've seen this movie way more than I have, I'm pretty sure.
I have, but I don't remember so much that one. He's just like the rich guy and he's in this ivory tower pretty much. And then there's
That's
this
right.
workers. I don't know what really happens. I
It's
forget.
you know what it is a it's essentially a metaphor for everything you literally just said, right? It could be told in a
Mm.
million different ways, and it's told in this way by what is it, Upton or Upson Pratt? Don't you know who I am? And he's oh god, who the heck is this guy? Who's the actor?
I don't
Um,
remember his name,
yeah,
but
I think
I
it
forget what he
is
was in.
E.G. Marshall, right? Is that it?
Okay.
He was in a bunch of stuff. I think he was in one of the Supermans. Anyway,
Hmm.
he's this really old, rich, white, crazy, paranoid guy. Plug in whatever adjective you want at this point. Who lives in this apartment? I guess he bought it from somebody, and it's this weird, like all white place. Like no one would
Yeah.
ever want to live in this place. I don't know why he wants to live there, but it's like this futuristic, weird, and he like control his whole company and organization. He makes these phone calls and calls this one guy who's, hey, I'm taking my family to Disney World. Well, I got a problem with bugs here, so if you don't get an exterminator in the next hour, you're going to be going to Disney World on your, welfare check or something or whatever. I don't know what he said.
Hmm.
But he's all these effed up things to people, and he's afraid. He sees a cockroach here and there. The exterminator shows up. He's calling people and yelling at them and belittling them, and he pours like the cereal, right? And he makes like cereal or whatever, and he starts eating it, and there's like bugs in it. It's so gross. And then he opens the box and suddenly dumps it, and the bugs are in the cereal, right? And then it's like this invasion of, and then there's a blackout happening. And he's talking about, well, if this was my company, this wouldn't be happening and all that other stuff. And he's just such a jerk. And it's just a story of, yeah, just him being a jerk and how people like this would act and just kind of where it goes with that. But it's also great because people are terrified of bugs, right? And cockroaches are just, they're disgusting. I'm not really necessarily afraid of them, but they're gross. And I don't really want them around. Nobody wants them around. And then they all just have that swarm moment where they all just show up and they take over everything. And they're on his clothes and they're on his hair. And he goes into this like safe room he's got, essentially, like an airtight room that shuts. And you think he's okay. And you look down and there's this like blanket and it's moving. And he pulls the blanket and it's all these like thousands of cockroaches. It's so gross. And they run around, they get him again, and he's calling and panicking and help me, help me, help me. And at one point he makes fun of the exterminator that comes, black guy, of course. And, well, one's like, like your people that are the colored folks or something or whatever. And it's like, damn, dude, you really are pretty nasty. And this guy comes back later and he's, hey, having a bug problem? And he kind of takes pleasure in what's happened to this guy, obviously. And he's dead. And it's so gross. Then you see the bugs like crawling out of his eyes and crawling out of his
Beak, like all of his chest, like it's just busting out.
It's so nasty. It's so nasty.
And it's funny because he's clearly like a hypochondriac type, neat freak type, germaphobe type person.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he wants everything white and pristine and clean all the time. Just to see him like freaking out of these cockroaches. It's so satisfying. And at the end, seeing them. And the fact that they used all real cockroaches and the fact that what they paid for the cockroaches, which was apparently 50 cents per cockroach,
how much
was
money
more
that
expensive.
is?
It was more expensive than anything they did in the movie. Any of the makeup, any of the effects.
Do
was
the math
cockroaches.
On like 50 billion cockroaches at 50 cents. I mean, oh my god! And then like, where would you shoot that? And then what? Do you have to like burn down the set afterwards? Like, how do you then contain?
How do you?
Right.
How do you get them back? Or just kill them all?
They can't. They survive like nuclear bombs, right? Don't they say they can't really kill cockroaches? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know how that works out.
I don't know what they did.
It was weird. You were talking about like, did this really happen, kind of thing. Same thing with this skit, right? It was like they're there 1 second and they're gone. It's kind of like, did he make this up in his head? Is this guy crazy? What's going on? But yeah, that was more of like here's like a slice of certain people that live in the world kind of thing, and was that skit to me.
Yeah.
But, it was gross. And it was cool, and it was great. And at the end, we go back. This is good. We get to the end. Do you want to talk about the end and how what little Billy finally is able to do to his mean dad?
Well, didn't he get all his Creepshow comic book, like he mail in things to get a voodoo doll?
He sure did.
And he got
because before that, before that, the comic is out on the garbage, and the garbage men are come by. Remember, Tom Savini is one of the garbage men, and they're like, "Hey, check out this comic, man!" And they're reading it. We should order this thing. Oh, no, somebody already cut it out and ordered it. And it's the voodoo doll. And the dad is, oh man, my neck really hurts. Oh. And then you see the kid up in his room and he's telling, I hope you like burn in hell. Oh my God. And he's sticking the pins in the doll. And oh man, it's so evil, right? It's so evil. And that's a wrap. And there's Creepshow, right? And it's highly entertaining. It's really fun. What are your thoughts on Creepshow 2?
Okay, Creepshow 2, I it also has a special place in my heart, but
Okay.
nothing like Creepshow 1.
Not the OG.
No, the stories and the acting aren't as good, but I
No, they're
do
not.
love The Raft. The Raft is my favorite.
So that is a story by King that I have read that I love the story. It's much more
Good.
detailed. It's much better than the one they shot. Like it seems very painful to die that way, obviously, but the book makes it like you would just it's terrible. Yeah, some black
Love it.
slime gets you in. I remember reading somewhere. I remember seeing one of those rafts somewhere like at a beach, and I remember looking at the people, just thinking, "You're all gonna die." You're
Gonna get it. Watch out for the black garbage bag looking sludge. Please, it will eat away your skin. And the effects are so good in that one. When that
Yeah.
girl's like being dragged down and she's like, oh, and you can tell she's like a
Melting her
skeleton now.
face.
Oh,
Yeah, love it.
so you know what? In a lot of Creepshow installments, people get what they deserve. Not all of them. There's
That's a
some
great
innocent
point.
people, right?
That's a
Right.
great
There's some
point.
innocent people that go down, but the bad people always get what they deserve. Always.
Right, like the guy we just talked about, like King's character. That guy's an innocent, just country bumpkin who
He's
probably
innocent.
he didn't deserve anything, right? But
No,
yeah,
he's
Leslie
good.
Nielsen got his. They all got theirs, right? And then
Hmm.
even if they died, Ted Danson's character may have been a jerk, but he came back and he from the grave and he ended up killing this guy, so whatever. But
Yep.
so yeah, Creepshow 2, and then the Indian one. I thought that was stupid, honestly. I like it wasn't creative. These guys, they killed the husband and wife. It was terrible, and he comes back to kind of. I get it. I didn't like it really. I guess.
That one's okay. That one's my second favorite. The last one's it drags on for a little too long. Thanks for the ride,
Oh, the
ladies. Like a little
hitchhiker. Nah,
too
that one was. I didn't
long.
care for that at all.
Yeah, but I
No.
don't mind the old wooden head, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Old Chief
that's what it
Woodenhead.
is. Yeah.
Just
That's
because
all right.
I like his makeup and I like his
Oh yeah,
costuming. The guy
that's
who's
cool.
in there is cool.
That was
But
cool.
otherwise, it's like and the acting's pretty.
No, it's not good.
Raft.
So how about this one? Right.
Okay.
Everybody out there loves Garfield's Halloween. Yes, fan. Yes, no, maybe, sort of. Don't remember. One of those things. All right.
I don't remember.
There's an old guy who Garfield and Odie stumble upon at a haunted house, and he talks like this, and he tells a story of the ghost that comes from 100 years and the pirates that come to get their treasure. And it reminds me of the creep from Creepshow 2, the way he talks like that. I felt like that was that character again. It's so
Okay, I
random.
gotta look it up because I
Sorry.
think what came first? What came first? I wonder.
Oh, what year was Creepshow 2?
I don't remember.
I think Garfield Halloween came first. I think that was in the mid 80s.
1987 with Creepshow 2.
Ooh, man, they're close.
Gar-
They're close.
Garfield Halloween is 1985.
Oh, mid 80s. Boom. There you go. So Garfield wins. Okay.
Garfield took
So
it.
there you go. Creepshow ripped it up. But the cartoon stuff was cool. I love the open of part 2, like the street and everything is really cool. And the comic book look and man, if that guy delivered my newspapers, I'd be pretty scared, to be honest with you. He is not.
That's Tom Savini. That's
Yes.
Tom Savini there.
I
Yeah.
know.
Like you never
he's-
know. Like
It's pretty scary.
it's
I
really
don't care.
scary.
They made a Creepshow 3. I never had interest in watching it. I don't know if you ever did. It's probably
No.
not great. Probably at this point I'll never watch it. Which brings us to Creepshow, the TV. I shouldn't say that word anymore, right? Creepshow, the series. Let's call it
Yeah.
that, right? Shudder or AMC. I hate to admit, but I have not seen one stinking minute of it. You?
I watched the first season
Okay.
and a Halloween special, I think.
Ooh.
And the Halloween special was like in some AA thing, but I think for werewolves or something. I don't really
AA
remember.
for werewolves.
Or
Okay,
like
now-
not werewolf A, like
I don't
WA, like Werewolves Anonymous, maybe
Okay.
WA. But my
That's
favorite
hilarious.
it was okay. My favorite like installment in the first like my favorite episode in the first season when I watched it was another werewolf one, but like from World War II, I think. And it was like I liked that one.
Where it was
I
like
can't
Werewolf Women
remember.
of the SS by Rob Zombie. That's pretty
I
great.
maybe not quite like that,
Okay.
but similar. But it was that was okay. But there's something about the '80s charm that
Yeah.
I think just suits anthology so much more, and I just find it really hard to capture these days. I don't know, even like Trick or Treat.
I
I'm
was
not a
about to
huge
ask you
fan
that.
of Trick or
Do you
Treat.
like that movie? Do you like Trick or Treat?
It's
No.
okay. There's just something about the raw, grainy, gritty
Mm-hmm.
VHS 80s
Yeah. Yeah.
style synthy stuff that I just like to I maybe just Creepshow did it for me and now I'm just like searching for that again and I
I
don't
get
think
it.
I'll ever get it
You want that?
again.
Yeah. To
There's
capture that again. Yeah. Yeah. I totally
yeah,
get it.
like there's some VHS like the found footage VHS anthologies. There's some that are okay mixed in there, but Creepshow is just and an entirety is just like a gem. I just
It's really good to me because I don't know how much Stephen King you read, but he has lots of these different seasons, half past midnight, and they're all short stories, 15, 20 of them. So this
mhm,
to me was like watching one of those books. All these great little stories, beginning to see them instead of having to read them all in the book, right? That's what I
mhm.
loved. That's what I thought was so great about this. That's what I like a lot. And it's great that his work gets done like this. And it's the trifecta, like you mentioned. It's Stephen King, it's George Romero, it's Tom Savini. I've gotten
Mhm.
to pleasure to meet two of them. I've not yet met Stephen King. Hopefully one day, but that's really cool. That I think that was great, and this just became like iconic, right? And so a couple of the cool things, right? So they shot it all like in Pittsburgh area because that's where he does his stuff, and like the lighting with like the blue and the red stuff. So remember like the beach scene? Isn't there a beach one of those where like it's all blue on the beach or something and all red when Adrienne Barbeau's character sees Fluffy the monster? Like we get those
Oh
really
yeah.
cool like lighting moods, right? That like set these tones that are just I don't want to call them so of their time. They're not like I don't want to say they're 80s. That's not really the right word. They're very cool though. They work like
Yeah.
perfectly, right?
I'm a sucker for that lighting anywhere I see it now. And
Yeah.
if it's in any movie or anything, I'm like, that's Creepshow. Like just I love that
Yes.
lighting. I love
Yes.
even when it's the cemetery in Father's Day.
Yeah.
There's like there's like a red light shining one side. You can tell there's blue light shining on the
Yeah.
other. And there's like it's in so many scenes when the horror really kicks in and it's either red or it's blue or like when Ted Danson's under the water
Yeah.
and if the big like red glow, pinky
Yeah.
red glow or whatever goes around him and it grows and it grows and it grows and it's just something
Uh
just
huh.
the oh it's so like just it does it for me.
Lighting is so
It
great, and
does it.
I can totally see like imagine the set with all these blue colored gels on everything, and it just looking.
Yes.
I can imagine it looked really cool when they did it.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe should we watch part three? Maybe I'll watch it one day just for the hell of it. 'Cause maybe I should. I don't know. I will not pay to watch it. I'll have to be on some subscription I already have though. But all
Yes,
right. So
correct.
here are two questions I'll ask you. One,
Yep.
which is your favorite of both movies, or you can say which one is for. And if you had to be any character, who are you in this film? Or
If
in
I
either
had
one,
to be any character, who am
or
I?
who is
Okay.
it? Who is the character? If you thought about, who does it remind you of, or who would you most likely be? I guess, right?
Okay. Ooh, okay. Well, my favorite definitely is the crate forever.
Okay, yeah.
Um, who would I be? Probably Aunt Bedelia.
Okay, yeah, you would. All right.
I would be Aunt Bedelia because I'm not standing up for any of that crap. You're
Yeah,
getting the ashtray, and I'm going to your grave, and I'm drinking my
I
face
like
off,
it.
and I'm yelling at you every Father's Day. You old bootlegger.
I
That's what I would be.
want my cake. Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
You ain't getting your
Uh,
cake.
that's great. So yeah, Creepshow 2. Watch them, enjoy them, watch the series. So it was a series on like season 2 or 3 now then?
I think there's like four or
4?
five coming out or
Really?
something. Yeah,
So they've renewed it. So it's popular. Okay.
I think so.
All right, check that out. Shutter, AMC. I can't remember where it is. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so now I'll have
One
to
of
watch
those.
some of it though. One of those, that whole streaming internet thing where you can watch stuff on. I don't know what the deal with that is. Anyway, this was fun. I know you enjoyed it because I know Creepshow is a favorite of yours. So tell our lovely audience and listeners where, besides Creepshow and video games and everything else, where can they keep up with you to find out about all these great things that you talk about?
Oh, okay. Well, you can go to YouTube and subscribe to mine and my friend's channel, Not a Strong Start. You can follow me on Instagram at Marie Plays It All, or also on Not a Strong Start. Or I have another Instagram page that I don't post that much on, but I do post a lot of my stories, and that's Marie Reviews Everything. There's so many pages. Marie
So
Reviews
much.
Everything. Follow me all on that. Subscribe, like all that,
All of it.
please.
Do all of those
That'd be
things.
awesome.
And do the
And
same
thank
for
you for
us.
having me too.
Of course, all of those things for us too. You guys love
Mhm.
us. Come see us on Instagram and not as so much Facebook, but we like the Instagram. And please watch the YouTube. We have growing our episode on street trash has gained quite some traction, and our episode with Blaine Duncan on Amityville over 1,000 views. Thank you, fans. We love this. Keep it going. We'd love to
Huge.
talk Amityville on this show, of course. So anyway, you know what to do. Like, subscribe. Please love everything Marie does, everything we do, and we'll find something else exciting to talk about again with you guys. But until then, stay scary, right?
Always. Always.
The Scary Movie Project podcast. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.